Good evening, everybody. In the last 20 seconds, I've been told I'm hosting, apparently.
No, the last 10 seconds we were saying bollocks. Get it right.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining. Obviously, we've got the usual suspects tonight. We've got Tom and Jamie. Hello, Tom and Jamie.
Hello, good evening.
And we've got
good
Mr.
evening.
Dong Zhu back from Acro Garden. Hello, Dong.
Hi, how are you?
I think
seconds to come out.
I think everything you say might just be funny. This is going to be terrible.
You do know though, Dong, that we wouldn't have invited you back if you were called Kevin. Just so you know.
I'm going to tell you right now, Dong, we would. But so Tom's new game is that we say hello to everybody in the audience, and we get the guest of that week to say their name out and say hello. So are you ready, Dong?
Yes, I'm ready to piss off the audience too.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Here we go.
Hello, Tony. And hello, Dance Reef in UK.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Dan.
Alisa. It's not Alexa. Alisa. Great. Hi, Alisa.
Great.
Alisa.
Well
Yeah.
done.
That is hello, Techers Reefer. Is that right? Or is Techers Reefer?
But it was just Techers Reef. Has it always been Techers Reefer?
Ooh,
Well, that's a good
might be a
point.
clone. Might not be the usual. Might not be the OG.
You know,
Don't know.
you read something a million times and you go, "Did I read that?" Sorry,
No, it
has
was
there
always Reef, not
been- has there
Reefer.
been bad news in here? What have I not read? Oh, Dan, I'm so sorry. Give her our regards. My apologies.
Yeah, definitely.
Woody's Reef. Hello, Woody's Reef. Emma. Wow, that avatar is cool. Hi, Emma.
Right, so this next one, you've got to say, "Hello, Onion."
Who's that?
That's Tom.
Evening, everyone. Who is evening? Hi, John. That is an easy one.
Yeah, it's a really easy one, isn't it?
Good evening. Hello, Gaza's Reef.
Good enough. Good enough.
Good enough, close.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes. Hi, Bristol Reefers.
Nice.
Bristol, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Evening. This is tough. Reef and what? Teas?
No idea, Dom.
I
No
can't-
idea.
Perfect.
Hi.
Perfect.
Oh, wow. Hi, offshore reefers only? Is that what the OLY stands for? Offshore. I think the bank should be offshore too.
Evening, Neil. I need to email you back.
Hello.
Yeah, hope you're good, mate.
Dear.
Glenn. Hi, how are you? Welcome. The East Coast Reefer. Is that East Coast of US or East Coast of UK?
UK.
Hi, Steve.
Okay, hi.
Steve.
Ahem. This one is really tough. UKM 120.
Anthony.
Hello, UKM. Hello, Gills Aquarium.
Liam, good evening.
Wow, this is a Norfolk Reefer. Is that?
Perfect.
Wow. Actually, I think that we have a Norfolk County here too. Of course, it's mirroring the UK. Critical Reef. Oh my goodness, really critical. Hi. Good evening. Harry West.
Yes.
Hello, Harry.
Harry West. There you go.
Oh my goodness, is this Koje? How do I
Coach.
pronounce that? Coach.
Coach.
Hi, Coach. Oh my goodness, what's that? Is that angelfish collector? I just said hi, angelfish collector. Nice
Perfect.
angelfish there.
His name is Terry, in case you wanted to know.
Good
His name's
evening,
Terry.
Riffy.
Reese.
Try this one.
Darren.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Perfect.
Good evening.
Whoa. Second name. No, whoa. Don't let him off. Second name,
Okay.
please, Dong.
Oh my goodness. Darren. I really cannot pronounce that.
Just
But
have
hi,
a go.
anyway.
Have a go. Have a go. How do you think it should be said?
No, I cannot say it.
Okay.
Can I just hi,
Hello, Rob.
swimmer? That's easier. Electric swimmer.
That is Rob. That's Rob who was on last time.
Oh, really? Hi, how are you?
Oh, let's try this one.
Oh my goodness, this is not a name, is it?
No,
Oh,
no.
that's a nice chalice. Hi, nice chalice.
Nice chalice. You have to read this back to front.
Oh yeah, right. That's a really cute puppy, or is a rat? But anyway, good evening.
It is a koala bear in a bikini, would you believe?
That's really cute.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Try this
Melinda
one.
backwards. Anyway.
That's Bernadette, right? Oh wait,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. That's Bernadette.
Anyway, hello.
Hi, Bernadette.
You guys really killing me here.
Well, everyone else is going to kill you, I think, Dom. Let's see if we missed anyone. Oh, here we go.
Ben, such an easy name. Thank you, Ben.
Hi,
Good
Ben.
evening, Ben. Oh my God. How about Ron? Why don't you say hi to this gentleman?
Good evening, Jerkin the Gherkin.
Great name. Great name.
Great name.
Oh, I'm going to have to do this one. You ready? Good evening, Willstone. We figure landing gears down over.
Is that a whalestone?
It is Willstone. Well done.
Oh, this is intrinsic reef.
Correct.
Hello, how are
Right.
you? Oh, this name is always interesting. Is that really a name?
That's his second name. Yeah, it's his surname.
Yeah. Is that is pronounced Heron? Heron?
That's it.
Horan.
Okay. Good evening, Sandy. Thank you for the easy one. Hi, Sandy.
Oh, good.
Peter.
Oh.
I love it. That's so easy. Peter. Good evening, Peter. Oh my goodness, this is not a name. Nice robot though.
Johnny
Yeah.
Five.
Richie's Monkey 120. This is really serious. Is that a diving suit? Hello, whoever you are.
Yarek. Evening, Yarek, mate.
Yarek. Good evening. Can I just say hi, Tom?
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Fine.
Frag rocks. This is serious. Nick and Stacy. Thank
Okay.
you for a easy name. Thank you. Paul. Oh, the little lagoon. Lee. That is simple. Hi, Lee. Good evening. That's a Spiller's Reef. So I think you probably need some leak detection.
Yes.
Yeah.
DIY. Nice avatar. Hello.
I think we're
Is there more?
there, everybody. I think we're
Okay.
done.
Okay.
Yeah, the torture is over.
Good.
Well done, Dom. Good sport. Well done. Getting stuck in there. So I'll start by asking Tom, are you well?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. You?
You get so shifty when somebody's just trying to be nice.
I
I've
know.
had a good
This
week.
is always loaded with you, Drippy. That's why.
No.
For a McDonald's drive-through or something else, or some
Oh.
AI picture of me fishing, the crocodile. Anyway, Steve. I'm all right, mate. Thank you.
Good. I do have a little video to play later on if everyone's game. I've named it Sleepapalooza. We might find some time to play that. How do you feel about that, Tom?
I feel fine about that. You already know my feelings. Thank you.
I'm sure the audience will love it.
Well, the audience will find it hilarious. Yes,
They will.
as will I actually.
Yeah.
It will bring back. Well, I've said memories because I was kind of asleep, so more for Drippy than me, obviously. Who's at a concert that he's still gone to, even though the headline act that he was going to see was cancelled yesterday. Well, 2 weeks ago, but they didn't tell anybody until yesterday. So he's going to watch Sam Fender.
Right, so hold on. Who was the headline act that have only just pulled out?
Say headline act. Sorry, he was going to see The War on Drugs, which is a bit
Oh.
Fleetwood Mackie kind of vibe going off. Yeah. If anybody else who's watching at home knows them, you'll know what I mean by that. But yeah, he was going to see them tonight. and he found out yesterday that they'd pulled out, which is always a good option.
So we've got a question from Norfolk Reefer. Dong, are we playing What's on Dong's Desk?
Oh, I think we should.
Well, it's a mystery.
For now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jamie, how are you?
Not too bad, actually. I've had a decent week this week. I've had a few little wins, so I'm in a good place at the moment. Yeah, can't complain.
You decided to come back for a second time.
Yeah, because obviously Drippy couldn't make it, so someone had to sort of fit in, right?
I thought you were either going to say that or I'm really only here for Dong. So
yeah, there is that. I'm happy to share the screen with this man right here. It's great.
He's huge.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dong, are you well?
Oh, very well. Perfect.
You had a busy week?
It's very busy. You know that my big frag tank busted, right?
Right. So
Yep.
just to check, is that the one on your tour that literally had great big bows in it?
The one near the door. I have two of them. They looks identical.
So
So
the big acrylic one that has
Yeah.
great big curves on it. Did that?
Oh
is that-
yes, yeah. I went out shopping, come home. The tank only have that much water in it.
That was quite an old tank, though, right?
Oh, it's pretty old. I fixed it several times. So this time I get rid of it. I don't want to fix it anymore. I'm done.
So
But
it's-
right now that you can see that I got new tanks. It's right over there.
you have.
Very good.
Yeah, see? Yep. That yeah. So only one of the smaller one, the shallower one, actually has water in it. The other one doesn't. So you can see my favorite ATI light on it, the T5. The
I
one that is
love the wallpaper.
a wallpaper? There's no wallpaper.
I think is it a tablecloth underneath it, the floral thing?
Oh yeah, it's a tablecloth from Amazon.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
okay.
How did you come through that tank failure? Did you lose much, or was it okay?
2 frags.
2 frags.
That's only casualty. Yeah.
It's special tap water, Jamie. That's what it was.
Ah, yeah. I've got a few questions about that for later on, actually. Yeah.
Well,
think you're over it.
actually, is that I grab everything, the whole trays of coral, and toss them into the other tank. As long as they're submerged, they're fine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's the worst nightmare, isn't it? Coming home to seeing a tank split.
Oh yeah.
Imagine
Exactly.
that. Was that systemized as well, or was it just on its own little sump and loop?
Oh no, it's in the system. So the other part is fine. But I do lose about 100 gallons of water on the
I was
floor.
going to say, so it's not kept on filling and losing, and all the other tanks
Oh,
as well.
That actually is no. The other tanks are fine because my return pump is not at the bottom of the sump. It was hanging there so that you can only suck out that much water.
Good idea.
So when the water drops to the level, the return pump will expose to the air and then it shut itself off. So DC pump and some planning.
Yeah, fail safe. That's
Was it a red dragon?
If it's a red dragon, it probably won't stop. No, it's our cheapo J-bomb.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be plenty of that tonight. So I just thought I'd get one in. Well,
I've heard if you run red dragons and that happens, they actually climb into your bed and trying to get up your bottom. But I mean, that might just be hearsay.
that must be what it was. Okay.
Well, I assume that's why you bought 2, Tom, because
Of course, I just had to have two goes. Of course I did.
anyway,
moving on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rather briskly.
So, Dong, you have a couple of things you want to talk about tonight.
Yes. So the first thing is my salt.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
I'm joking.
All right. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
He's not coming back on, is he? He's not coming back on.
You want me to remove him, Dong? He's just... Well, just get rid of him. He's surplus to requirements.
Oh, dear. Go on, Dong. Sorry. The stage is yours.
Okay. So one experiment I have done many years ago. So I want to repeat it and then to demonstrate it to people. Yeah, does a salt really matter? So there are two kinds of salt that in US, the most expensive one is the tropic marine. The best ingredient ever in the world. That's what they claim. And the other spectrum is the Archipel Indian Ocean. Made in US, very cheap. Basically, the Indian Ocean is only about half the price of the tropic marine. So do they make a difference?
It's a fish
So what
only
happened?
system over here.
Go ahead.
Indian Ocean is just a fish only system salt really over here.
Yeah, there's a Reefers. That's what I'm using. The Reefers is only about 5% more expensive, so it's negligible. So that thing is more consistent in terms of parameter. So I purged one system, one of the SPS system with tropic marine. The experiment has been going on for months, probably like 6 months, something like that. So totally tropic marine and totally Reefers from the Indian Ocean. So right now, the major difference, the biggest difference, the monumentally great difference is that my wallet is a little bit lighter. Other than that,
have you read that comment, Don? Can you read that comment? Can you see that?
I think tropic marine salt makes tank bowl. Actually, that might be true because it is the tropic marine tank that busted.
There you go.
There you go. So, yeah, the tropic marine has several advantages. One is that the box is smaller when you get the same volume of salt, because that tropic. I think tropic marine using anhydrous salt, so that the box is smaller. It's a little bit lighter, so but that's a good benefit because I'm getting old. My back is very important. Until I find out that I do have a dolly in my garage, so that difference is evaporated. And then
inflatable one with wheels.
Well, with the price I'm paying, well, they better come with wheels. They probably should come with a guy to carry it down to my basement. So the difference, yeah, definitely tropic marine salt dissolves a bit faster. But think about it this way. So when you mix new salt, you probably want to run it by run the salt for about 3 to 4 hours so that the carbon dioxide can equilibrate. And also so anyway, you're gonna wait about 3 to 4 hours there. So the difference of fast dissolving, there's no advantage there. So after 3 to 4 hours, the Reefers are also clear. Third thing is that I do see a little bit less of the brown stuff on the white barrel, but it's not really that a day and night. When I look at my wallet and I look at my bucket, yeah, the bucket can be as brown as it can be. I don't really care. I can just go to the sink and hose it down. So I look at my wallet. Oh my God, there's a giant hole there. So, okay, now we talk about coral. Coral grows identical. Coral color identical. Fish identical. My wallet? No, my wallet is not happy. So basically, I did this experiment many years ago. The same result, same conclusion. So basically, I'm wondering what the heck am I doing? So right now, I stopped the experiment. I switched back to all Reefers right now. And I just don't see sufficient amount of difference there. Well, there are some people said, oh, maybe the lower alkalinity of tropic marine is a benefit. I think that is exact opposite, because that with the higher alkalinity and calcium level and Reefers, I actually dose less.
Yeah.
So it probably doesn't make enough difference for me to continue to use the tropic marine salt. I just don't see any benefit in my operation, in my situation.
Yeah, Don,
so
just
maybe
Out of interest, obviously you're using a well, aren't you? Like what we call borehole water for your sort of makeup. What's the calcium and KH of your water out the tap?
Oh, the water actually is the tap water. Actually, is the town water. It's not well water.
City
So
water.
Okay. So okay.
The alkalinity.
It's what he washes his hair with, Jamie.
The alkalinity is about 2 DKH.
Right.
So,
Really?
but the calcium test kit is not sufficient to pick up much. There's some calcium and alkalinity there. And I look at the town's water report. Yeah, there mostly is magnesium, alkalinity, but the carbonate, that's alkalinity part, and some calcium in it. So, and also surprisingly, what makes my tap water magical, which, well, don't try it at home because your tap water will be quite different. The tap water actually enriched with iron and manganese.
Yeah. Yes.
That is why it is that's why that is magical, because that it naturally come with trace amount of manganese and also iron, because that the source water here is enriched in these two elements. They have to remove it. Of course, that there always some left. Another good thing is that because I'm in US, the water is treated with fluoride.
I was about to ask about fluoride.
Yep.
I remember years
fluoride
ago.
right now, the latest data I saw is 1.5 ppm fluoride in my tap water.
Yeah, well, it's
Which
a really the tap water thing is a really difficult thing in the UK, because although we're a tiny little nation, you've only got to drive 100 miles, 200 miles, and the water is so different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where I live in sort of London, it's completely opposite to what Ron gets out of the tap in Scotland. I've got liquid rock. It is hard as nails. Thames Water actually dose phosphate because there's still quite a large contingent of lead piping in the network. So they dose phosphate to mitigate against that. We could never use our tap water. It would be catastrophic. But then maybe in Ron's area where it's soft and very low in mineral content, your RO membranes probably last 10 times what ours do.
They do, but we do have chloramines, unfortunately. So you've got to blast them first before you can use it. But other than that, the actual general TDS is, I think the last time I measured it was 20.
That's not bad.
What, going in?
Yeah. Straight out the tap.
I'm about 350, I think, here in Yorkshire.
The other thing we get, sorry to interrupt, the other thing we get is seasonal fluctuation. So London's very highly populous. It could never be sustained by the water naturally available. Mm-hmm. So what Thames Water do is, in times of low rainfall, we get water pumped into the network from Wales, which is massively different. So our tap water over the year, the TDS can be anywhere. So you can never rely on it as a source water.
So is it the urine from Wales or?
Yeah.
Bad joke. Bad joke.
It might as well be.
So my tap water is our town's tap water only served our town. That's it. There's a factory in town to produce those water. They draw the water from underground well. So even just 10 miles away from here, like in the Woburn, and those water actually toxic. You can even drink. So use your RODIs when you're not sure. So in my situation, it's pretty unique. Of course, this is a pretty expensive town, so we pay the tax. We better get better water. And the good thing is that there's no chloramine in our water. They use ozone and a little bit chlorine and UV sterilizer to clean their tap.
Okay.
That is pretty expensive way to do it, but well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how many watts that is.
Well, my water is free to everybody. People come here and then take the water and go mix up their salt water. Yeah. Wow. Outside, just take it.
Wonder if I could connect a really long garden hose to one of your taps.
Thinking exactly.
Just straight across the Atlantic Ocean, just...
That's a good idea. Maybe quantum entanglement or wireless or wormhole.
Why can I see an image of my head of like the Trotter brothers in Only Fools of Dong standing there filling up bottles of tap water and just shipping it to his LFS?
Definitely.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, Peckham Spring.
Magic water.
Yeah.
Well, maybe instead of a god of 300 bottle, I can be the man with lots of jugs.
Go and see Dong and his jugs.
Anyway,
the jugs.
Back to the saltwater discussion then. So you were running Tropic Marin and Reef Crystal side by side.
Yep.
And you have decided that there's absolutely zero benefit to paying twice the price for Tropic Marin Pro,
there's no benefit.
Other than a very small amount of... So what is the brown in Instant Ocean? Is it some sort of clay or...
No.
Is it inert? Totally inert?
No, actually, those brown stuff is bacterial. Yeah. So what happened is that when you just mix the Instant Ocean, you don't see the brown stuff. The brown stuff actually develop later. So what happened is this: there's an anti-caking reagent in Instant Ocean. So the anti-caking reagent is to prevent the salt to come up.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some European salt probably does not like to use the anti-caking reagent. Let me give you one real-world story. When there's one brand of salt from Poland enter U.S. and in purple color, so they don't have anti-caking reagent. They dissolve really rapidly. One of my friends at the time owns a local fish store in Maine. He ordered a whole pallet full of this salt, fast dissolving with no anti-caking reagent. So several months, actually at that time, I ordered, I want to try the salt. The salt's pretty good. So what happened is that, another reason is that every bucket of salt I bought at that time, as a promotion, they put a T-shirt inside the bucket. I have probably about 20, 30 T-shirts in my drawer. Okay, so the story is like this. The salt runs pretty good, but after 3 months, I open up a bucket. It's rock solid inside. It's sealed in a plastic bucket, and there's probably a pinhole leak somewhere.
Yeah,
the whole bucket is solid. Okay, now here's the story comes. I emailed the sales rep, said, my salt become a brick. Oh, the sales rep was really good. Replied the email, oh yeah, it's pretty good. We're going to replace yours. And then next morning, I woke up, I saw another email. Oh, I'm very sorry, we cannot replace it. I said, why? The sales rep said, actually, I still have all the email. The sales rep wrote, the big boss said that you can always hack it up and redissolve it. I said, no, that doesn't work. And then here's the mystery thing. On this email, he said, the big boss said, if the salt does not turn blue, it's okay to use. I said, what the heck?
What?
Yeah, you would turn blue? Yeah, actually, that is in the email. I said, why? Why will it turn blue? But it's rock solid.
Well, that would indicate like precipitation of copper or something, which you don't want.
Yeah, but the thing is that when it becomes solidified, why it will turn blue, I don't know.
I've had salts that have turned blue when you've not put the lid on them properly and moisture's got in.
Seriously?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
That's
quite a few
and
times.
Then, okay, so probably that's why. Then my last email reply to him is that, can you send me a chisel and hammer? So I can. That's the end of that salt. That's the end of that salt. I stopped using it. But the story does not end there.
Oh.
Next, my friend called me up. My whole freaking pallet is become a rock.
Oh no.
Yeah. There's then my friend said,
Please tell me you asked him if he got a hammer and it's
no. Then he said, what happened if I give you for $5 each bucket? I said, hell no. What am I going to do with that? Then my friend said, what am I going to do with that? I said, well, winter is coming. we are in New England area. We got ice storm, snowstorm. Guess what? Perfect. I don't think he bought any de-icer that winter.
But he still had to break it up before he used it, didn't he? Unless he dropped giant 20-kilo salt bombs in his driveway.
Yeah, I don't know, but eventually he get rid of all his pallets of rock solid. But then I also heard the rumor. This is just rumor, okay? Not based on fact, just rumor.
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
One of the distributor, something I was told. Don't hold me against it. I was told there is that problem actually happened to the warehouse too. So they end up with a lot of bucket solidified. So now back to the original story about Eastern Ocean. I actually appreciate them to put anti-caking reagent in there. So what exactly anti-caking reagent? They're really, really fine powders. Those fine powders just mix into the salt so that prevent them to clump up. So your Eastern Ocean reprisal can last for a bit longer. So at least for a year, then nothing happened to it. So what happened is that when you dissolve this salt into a bucket of water, and because we use plastic buckets, at least I do. I don't know if anybody uses a steel drum, but that's a different story. So all this anti-caking reagent will coat the plastic bucket because this is naturally those things have some kind of affinity to the plastic. So when the plastic bucket is coated, it actually creates a very good bed for bacterial growth. Think about it this way: when we add the water, either you go through RODI or you're adding dechlorinated reagent. So the chloramine is gone, so there's nothing to prevent the bacteria to grow in this salt bucket, in this salt water when you're mixing it. So that's why those brown stuff start to grow on the side of the bucket. Actually, are bacteria growing on anti-caking reagent.
Yeah.
For matter of fact,
So
go ahead.
I'll stop geeking out in a bit because it's great to have a chemist on board that understands this sort of stuff. No offense, guys. But so when you've got a bucket of salt, most of us will use a plastic jug or a plastic mug or whatever to scoop it into your container. All that stuff that sticks onto your plastic cup, is not just salt. That is most of the anti-caking agent.
Oh no, it's not.
Well,
most of stuff.
It works as an anti-static because your plastic cup generates static. It all clings to the plastic cup.
Because before you dissolve the salt into water, the anti-caking reagent actually finally mix in the salt. They don't get stuck to the plastic.
Yeah, that's it. It's all mixed like homogeneously throughout the salt. But every time you push your plastic cup through it, you're creating static, and it reacts with that. It binds to that static on your plastic cup and is removed from the salt. So generally, where I was going with that is, it's not really a good idea to rinse that. You know what I mean? When you get a cup, but it's covered in that white.
Yeah.
Salt. It's not really a good idea to rinse that out in your salt mix because that's a really high concentration of the anti-caking stuff.
Oh, that could be a possibility, but I think that it may not be a very big problem. So at least it's not a very big problem for me. Yeah,
it probably isn't a big problem, but in this hobby, fine margins sometimes do make a slight difference. It's just a habit I have. I've never rinsed that cup of all that stuff stuck on it in a salt mix. I don't know whether that comes into play or not. I'm just brainstorming again.
Actually, the way I do it, I use a disposable cup.
There you go.
Good
yes,
answer.
I like to just toss them.
That's what Dong does with these return pumps. Once a week, he just stick a new one on.
Well, I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find a video.
J-Bow is cheap.
I was running the Instant Ocean when I first set the display up, and I stopped because of the residue in the vat in the garage because it was horrendous.
Yeah,
and it looked like wet plaster. It got that bad. It looked like wet. plaster.
Yeah. But I think that's a benefit to tell you clean it.
Yeah, but psychologically, going back to your original conversation or point with the tropic marine, you would see that as most people would see that as an imperfection. It shouldn't be dirty. I'm buying this that it should mix clean, and that is a USP that a lot of the manufacturers right now are pushing on.
For example, if you use a new bucket to mix that salt, you don't see that. The only that when you reuse that bucket over and over again, then you started seeing them. For matter of fact, here is an interesting thing. I use my old bucket to mix the tropic marine salt. Guess what? The brown stuff happens. Yeah, because I use old buckets already have the anti-caking reagent coated the barrel. I use the tropic marine salt. I use that to mix it. Same thing happened.
So what is it Tropic Marine are doing or are not doing to their salt that means you don't get this buildup?
I don't know. Seriously. Maybe that, the fast dissolving, just my guess, because that is aimed for fast dissolving. For matter of fact, I always wondering, so why you take the instant ocean longer to mix? Maybe we're just waiting for the anti-caking reagent coated the barrel.
Or could it be a difference between artificial salt mixes and naturally evaporated saltwater salt mixes? Could there be something artificial about it? Maybe?
Okay. There is something I really want to talk about. You brought up this perfect question. There's no natural salt water. We call it, if you evaporated natural seawater, you cannot redissolve it. You cannot reconstitute it, evaporated seawater. Because when you evaporate them, and what you start to form is magnesium carbonate and calcium carbonate. You cannot redissolve them. So now we come to this episode's first reefing bullshit.
Yeah.
Reefing bullshit. Yeah. Is that there's no such thing as a natural sea salt. It's a marketing gimmick. Total bullshit. That's what it is. First of all,
You heard it here first.
So what happened is that there's some companies that they are natural because the sodium chloride they're using is natural. But by the way, can you find a non-natural sodium chloride? I don't know. But
got you.
100% all the salt mix are synthetic. There's just no way you can reconstitute the natural ocean water. And also another thing is that, but that idea was floating around for a long, long time by drying the natural water and then reconstitute it. But now I used to visit in another country for an institute just studying ocean water. So if you want to collect the ocean water, evaporate it, and clean it, and the process is much more expensive than just mix all the ingredients together. There is economically not feasible, chemically not feasible to evaporate natural seawater and reconstitute it at your home. There's no way you cannot do it. And also that to purify natural seawater is super, super expensive process. To get rid of all the microbial, get rid of all the toxic thing. It's not financially feasible to do that also.
Yeah, but there are, I kind of get all that, but there are companies that claim theirs is naturally evaporated seawater.
Bullshit.
Wait to hear you say
marketing bullshit.
Oh dear.
Well, Red Sea, probably one of the biggest salt manufacturers and sellers across the globe, is they say that theirs is from the Red Sea.
Oh, because the sodium chloride from the Red Sea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So the sodium chloride is purified from Red Sea. Well, I think that the Atlantic Ocean in United States is as natural as Red Sea, isn't it? When we get the sodium chloride from
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
not as warm, but you know.
yeah.
So that this kind of thing, because when you say something is natural, is people will feel more natural and willing to spend money on it for things that's natural. Actually, for matter of fact, my potato is natural. Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff that on my desk.
Why have you got a potato
This is
on your
natural.
desk? Why is it there?
Oh,
Just
because
out of
I'm
interest.
going to talk about trace element. This is a prop.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. Actually, everything on Earth is natural because all the synthetic stuff is coming from natural sources. Even your gasoline is natural.
Okay.
Plus, your lithium-ion battery is natural too.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just how it's compiled.
Yeah.
By us, isn't it? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Alan is saying he prefers reefing bullshit to reefing news, so I'll just fuck off now, will I? And then the man sitting there on the screen has basically said, yeah, no to reefing news. That's that knocked in the head.
Oh dear.
It'd be a good feature.
Well, Melinda, Rob, and I did the tour with Dong, and that's when this term reefing bullshit was discussed. And I said to Dong, we should do a show just called literally reefing bullshit. And he said, I'm free most Thursdays. Let's do it.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Right,
I can't find the video, but the amount of residue on the inside of that vat, it caused me to stop using Instant Ocean. I stopped pretty much straight away because it was just adding another job, cleaning a 500-litre vat out every time I do a water change, just adding to a already long husbandry task, whatever you want to call it. It was just like, why would I? So I found a salt, and again, I wasn't Tropic Marine. I don't know what I went to then. I think I tried a few in the end, just simply so that mixed a lot cleaner, so I didn't have that same issue.
So yeah, is that true that the Tropic Marine and Eastern Ocean are similarly priced in UK?
No.
The price? No, it's not.
No, Instant Ocean is probably the cheapest salt you can get, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Nearly half price, I'd say,
maybe-
depending on where you
maybe
shop.
Aquatics is actually maybe the cheapest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it's not really designed for what we want it for. It will keep your fish alive, is what we would say about that.
No, that there is a difference from the purple Instant Ocean versus the Requisite though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the purple bucket I found out that is quite inconsistent. Yeah, maybe that's good for the keeping the fish alive. Especially magnesium.
To be fair, though, there's nothing wrong with a salt marketed a fish only system. A lot of the salts we buy for a reef specific system, we want all the trace elements. If we don't need it, why do we pay for it if we've got a fish only system? There's a place for that. It's not a slander of Instant Ocean.
Yeah, Gaz is saying is I restaurant Aquatics and my corals are growing, but unfortunately the salt causes MP40s to stop working.
Oh, Tommy, you naughty boy.
He's giggling, I'm sure he is.
You can see that this is Requisite Instant Ocean. So that's why that I clean my salt bucket all the time.
So what do you clean it with?
Tap water.
That's
my
it.
magical tap water. Yeah.
You're just getting rid of the salt, basically, and the residue that's left.
Yeah. I pour the salt water in and get a paper towel and wipe it down and rinse it under the sink, and as good as new.
So what you're talking about, Tom, with was it Instant Ocean? You had the problem. I had that with Aquavitro Salinity.
Right.
The salt that you can't buy online. Amazing buckets. The buckets are amazing. But yeah, it was filthy. Coated inside of my brute bin every time.
When you've got, I've got 1,500 litre. What's Rob? 3,000, and there's going to be people in the audience who've got much bigger systems. But cost is a significant, like it is in any size system, significant factor. So when I was doing water changes, especially in the early days when I was battling the silicates and whatnot with the man-made rock I'd got, I could not afford to be going out and spending £90 on a bucket of salt. And I didn't really need to, because I'd not really got any livestock that was going to be, pulling any trace elements out of it. So yeah, I went for a cheaper option, and it just became a ball ache. Even though a 400 litre water change isn't a ball ache to start with, cleaning a vat out every time I'm doing a water change. So I then migrated to found a different product.
So are you guys getting this brown scum every water change? Because I was thinking.
I don't. No, I don't. I don't anymore. I'm using the NIOS one, and I touch wood. And I'm not again, no sponsorship, no affiliation. It's a great product. Great price. I've had no issues with it. Yeah.
No, I think it's mainly only a problem if you've got a salt vat or mixing vat constantly full and turning over. If you just do it on demand, fill and drop it every time you use it, you're not going to get this build up.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
It's a long term thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing to notice as well is if you do mix up your salt water and store it for say 2 or 3 days, always do a KH test, because you might lose a bit of KH the older it gets.
Yes.
So it's always a good idea to drop your last bit of salt in just before your water change, an hour before, just to buffer it back up again.
I'm a little bit, I suppose, about keeping water mixed, especially if it's exposed to the air. I'm always concerned about bacteria. I don't know why, especially with it being slightly warm or warming it up. I just think there's a lot of contaminants floating around that we don't always see and know about, and that can get in there sometimes and breed before you know it.
I mix 800 litres of salt water at a time, and then that sits, and I do automatic water changes daily, 20 litres on one system, 15 in another. And the Red Sea Blue Bucket salt I've been using, the lines of the automatic water change were getting clogged every 2 or 3 months, to the point that I was either pulling out too much water or not enough, and it was all imbalancing. So every 4 weeks, this is what my salt that's freshly mixed salt water getting pulled through that to an automatic water change system.
Yeah.
Once a month, I have to change those filters, and when you take the filter out, there is solid brown sediment in the bottom of that, and that's once a month now. I then got sent a box of NIOS Pure to try, which did one full 800 litre. So it's a baffled 800 litre tank, so it's not fun to clean. So I doused the whole thing in citric acid, blasted it all down with a garden hose, fresh start, new batch of salt, new 800 litres of RO water. And after a month of water changes with that one big box of salt, the bottom inch of it was just slightly off white. Remarkably cleaner. Now, no negative effects on Red Sea Blue Bucket on any livestock, any corals, or anything. What Tom was saying, purely from a maintenance point of view of having to clean a baffled water tank, cleaning my lines, changing those filters, it all adds up to my time. I don't have a lot of that. So for me, a cleaner salt, slightly higher price. Actually, the NIOS is the same price as Red Sea Blue Bucket. It's worth it for me.
So that's interesting. If we're saying that black-brown scum is bacterial-based, does that mean that perhaps the Red Sea Blue Bucket's got a higher nutrient load that favours that bacterial growth?
Well, another thing I've done is I've wrapped the 800-litre baffled tank in pond liner to stop all external light from penetrating
it into it. Yeah,
and it has, I would say, it's more than half. It's taken the brown growth on the inside of the water tank.
Yeah,
it's reduced that, I would say, by 50%. It's still dirty, but nothing like
yeah.
So it's feeding on light. Whatever that is definitely.
Are you running an IBC then?
No, it's literally a huge big. I got it online, 800-litre tank. It was the biggest I could get that would go through a domestic house doorway, because I ordered a 900-litre tank because it was literally just in my budget, unbaffled, and it's a D shape if you look at it down, so it goes flat against the wall.
Right,
it's rounded, and it wouldn't go through any door. So it's been sitting in a shipping container for 3 years and about to get its moment of glory in the new building.
Nice.
And I'm saying to Bernadette, it's coming. It wasn't a waste of money. Anyway, so purely from a maintenance point of view, I prefer a cleaner.
That is interesting. That's the whole point of this sort of thing, is we can all just bounce off each other's experience of that, because that is one of the things that's a bit of a bane of our lives, is cleaning out bloody salt mixing vats. So that's interesting. If
It's a couple of hours of spraying with highly concentrated citric acid and then rinsing and then spraying and then rinsing, because I can't physically scrub those baffles. I can't get into it.
Well, on the other side of the coin, is it a problem? Oh, well, I know you say it blocks up your lines and the auto changes, but most of us don't have auto water changes. If it's just a tub, is it a problem?
I think these days you're sort of programmed, probably not always consciously, that everything needs to be clean, you know. So when you see everything's about the source of your reef tank, the water quality. So if you're quite happy to put something in that is dirty, I don't think that's the right train to get on, personally.
I'm with you, Tom. I'm like, my salt mixing vat is pristine. It's clear as fuck. And I look at my tank and my sand is brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, who am I trying to please here?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Dong? You've gone quiet on us. You still with us?
No, he was.
I'm listening to you guys. Yeah. So, how expensive are those 200 gallons like the Instant Ocean versus the Tropic Marine in UK?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, Tom will need to hit Google for that.
Let's go with it. Who are we going with? Going Charterhouse?
Might as well.
Yeah,
as well. Let me throw a Google up.
I don't know how they sell stuff for the prices they do. It's
volume, isn't it?
Because if the cleaner salt that create less residue, the price different. It is really about economic. It's how much water you go through, and also that what's the price difference there. So if it's not too big a difference, then. So the thing I saw is that there's no difference, but if there's any benefit, of course that.
Okay.
40 versus 70. Oh, okay. That's pound in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Significant.
Darn, you guys are cheaper than over there.
Right. Maintenance salt. Let's have a look. You can see this, I take it, because I can't see you guys. Red Sea, 22 kg, 74.99. 25 kg, Tropic Marine, 85.95. But obviously, you're getting a little bit more there. What else we got? Niles, 64.99. TMC one there for you, Ron. 10 kilogram. Yeah. Instant Ocean. So Instant Ocean, 20 kg. You've got 48.99 there, Dong.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Versus a 20 kg. Yeah.
74.99 for the 22 Red Sea. Oof.
Yeah.
That is a hell of a price difference.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So realistically, if you're keeping a basic softy tank or a fish only tank, Instant Ocean is the way to go, really, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, and if you're not using automatic water changes and things like that. Oh, there's Reef Crystal. So what's the difference in price between Reef
Crystal 61.73 and the Instant Ocean 48.99?
That's quite a difference.
Wow, that's a big difference over there.
Yeah, £20 difference.
Yeah, that's a huge.
Yeah, sorry, £10 difference. Yeah,
10 quid. Yeah.
Yeah, 10 quid, 12 quid. Yeah.
Oh, and you can buy an Instant Ocean bag there. It looks like as well. Anyway.
Or you can buy a tub of Modern Reef for $124.99 if you want the best of the best.
I'd be expecting a reach around for that.
What else we got to go on page 2? Anything? No.
I mean, it also depends on like
Aquaforest one, Dong. If you want to get your chisel out again. You want to get your hammer and chisel out? Aquaforest do one, £82.
I've not used Instant Ocean for years and years, but what sort of KH does it mix up at? Is it around sort of 7.5?
I think it's a bit.
No, actually, the purple Instant Ocean here, the mix all over the place. I've seen that they're identical as high as Reefers, and sometimes a little bit lower. But most of the time, they look identical. The test identical. The parameter the same. I'm thinking about them. They maybe just put the same salt in different bucket.
If you go down, Tom, there's there's a tiny little read more thing. See,
where am I? Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. There we go. There you go. Nothing about parameters in there. Just about telling you to
get what you're given. Instant Ocean.
Yeah, pretty much telling you that to make sure your salinity's done right. And
I'd say it does go to show that it's more for like fish only, because it's recommended a gravity of 1022, which is like
it is.
Yeah.
I think that's a marketing thing. So so basically they can sell you less salt by mixing this at a lower salinity. Because that is still the most popular salt here, and many institutes are still using it. So
sorry, Dong, that's what I was using that I had the issue with. And the reason why I liked it was that it was really cheap. So it was 50 quid. And this was the one that had the individual packets. So you only had to use, I know you can put a lid on a plastic bucket, etc. But yeah, I was using this one. And it came with 22 kilogram bags. Yeah, which I thought was quite cheap, 50 quid.
Yeah, it is. It is quite cheap.
Again, 1.2. Yeah, 0.22, Jamie. Yeah.
It looks like, in the comments, Rob Pelagic actually uses Instant Ocean.
Yes, since speaking to Dong.
Yeah, okay.
After the chat we had, he moved to Instant Ocean.
But see, again, on a system that size, economics comes into it, doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying. That's where I went with it, exactly for that. But like Ron was saying about the maintenance, it was like creating another job for me. And I was just like, I'd rather just pay an extra 20 quid and not have to clean a gut out every time I'm doing a water change.
I think Rob said it was going to save him £1,000 a year, roughly, moving from Tropic Marin Pro Reef to Instant Ocean.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Well,
that's a lot more helicopter trips, definitely.
But he's paying 40 quid for that box, he says.
Wow.
He's giving out reach arounds.
He is. He's very good at it.
Wow.
Right, there we go.
Yep. So the things that does add up when you when doing a lot of water change, that is definitely one interesting thing I also noticed from Reefers and versus Tropic Marin is that when you scoop this salt out using a bucket, you're using a scoop, and then the Tropic Marin tend to have this dust flying everywhere, but the Reefers does not. I'm not talking about the regular IO salt, because I've seen different formulation for the regular IO Instant Ocean salt. So for the Reefers, you scoop it out, it doesn't have much less dust flying around. I think that's actually quite important for me, because that those flying dust, probably due to the anhydrous salt, I really don't like it. It actually, because I have a lot of air current going through the room, I have a big fan blowing air out of the house, so that's always a big current. I can see that the Tropic Marin salt, the solid powder dust flying toward the window. That is not very good for all the equipment, for the house, all that kind of thing. And also that I definitely can get into my nose as well. So that's why I prefer the Reefers a lot more, because that when I scoop it up, it doesn't have this solid vapor coming out.
It doesn't have dust, the Instant Ocean.
Well, the Reefers part, the one, at least the Reefers I'm using here for all this year, there's much less dust.
Dong, if you don't like dust, mate, you're probably better off with the big clumps, aren't you? The big bricks that you were having earlier.
Well, I enjoy the brick because I can utilize my hammer and chisel, and also do some exercise. That's really good for the house, that you get to.
Was there not a company starting to sell salt in solid bricks, or am I imagining it? I thought last year there was a company that was starting to sell blocks of salt that you would just throw into your saltwater mixing thing. I'm sure there was. It was highly concentrated.
Don't know.
Haven't seen that, no. But I mean, if you're doing a set volume every time, that could be a thing.
Yeah. So if you're mixing the 50 gallon at a time, you just get one bag of the Eastern Ocean and cut it open and dump the whole bag in.
Yeah. I'm going to find this video while we're doing this.
It was Aquaforest, he thinks.
Right, okay.
Yeah, a few people are saying that I didn't imagine it. Thank you, guys. Everyone else on screens like that.
Well, maybe that's what was happening to the buckets of salt. They were just transforming into solid.
Yeah. All the returns they got, they just cut off and sent back out again.
Dong just built an igloo
With salt.
with salt.
So how I dispose of those salt is that I remember back then in winter, the icy winter, I just take the whole bucket, smash it on my driveway, and the bucket broke. And then with that big chunks of solid standing on my driveway, I grab a hammer and hack on it.
Your neighbors must have thought you'd lost your mind.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I can give them a bucket too. Here you go.
For Christmas, wrap it up.
Yeah, Christmas.
So for any Americans that are out there that are watching that live near Dong, if you go outside his house, there's a big yellow bin. You can fill your bucket up with reef quality salt. Bugger off with it.
Water, not salt. Salt's not included.
I am going to find this. Ron.
Right, that is yes, Tom. I actually missed the time myself. My apologies. It's time for reefing news, everybody.
Oh.
Reefing news! Reefing now! Motherfucking reefing news with Ronald McDonald. It's reefing news, but mostly bullshit with Ronald McDonald. Strap up, it's time for reefing news. Watch your ego, it might get a bruise. Get ready for reefing news. Tuck your bollocks into your shoes. It's reefing news, but mostly bullshit. Just some nonsense from a fucking twit. Reefing news with Ronald motherfucking McDonald.
I can't believe I'm doing this in front of Dong. I cannot believe.
Oh, dear.
Anyway,
Brilliant.
tonight on Reefing News, folks, we've got a few little tasty bits and pieces. Let me see what we got first. I was on the Reef Builders page, so I see Caribsea. Have to say, not a fan. I've brought out some different shaped pieces of rocks. So what they've done until now is they've done the kind of mushroom thing, right? So a base, it goes up and then it kind of cantilevers out. So what they're doing with this new box is it's kind of like it's got a central bit, but it branches out and you can do it all yourself, modular.
Oh,
So
okay.
they've got a frag garden, they've got a
Aquascape Lego.
Yes. Yes. So all I'll say is I hope they have dealt with I'm just gonna say it. Do they put green hair algae in the rock before they sell it? I'll abandon that hope of a sponsorship. The next one, Tom, did you see this?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it's basically for like worm-loving fish. So it's for fresh and saltwater. It's from our friend, the Reefing God, at Two Little Fishies.
Mr. Sprung.
Yes.
Yep, Mr. Spunk.
And I think it might be a bit of a game changer for feeding copper bands. Now it's not in the market yet, and they're hoping it's going to come. So they said it's coming, but it's not out yet. I have to make that clear. I thought that was quite an interesting little.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why is there a picture of a discus on there as well, though? Is it a discus? Or
Yeah, it's for
tropical
fresh
fish?
and saltwater.
Yeah, looks like discus. Yeah,
Yes,
all
it's
in
for-
one.
for both. Yeah.
Nice.
And because we at the Garden Centre and on the Reef AF Discord donate to the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, I get sent emails every 2 or 3 weeks. And I found this one really interesting. So Teresa Fife did a TED Talk for the Great Barrier Reef Foundation in Australia. And they've got a three-pronged plan, they're calling it. So the first one is scalable solutions. And they're planning on getting the actual growth of corals and replanting up by 50% very, very soon in the next coming couple of years. Technology transformation for coral restoration. They're actually got what they're going to call now auto spawners that actually take the settled larvae of the corals and do all of the process for you. Now, I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, and it's a very short article, so I don't have any more information, but they're also talking about IVF and focusing on the corals and the species that can tolerate the bigger heat fluctuations.
Wow. So if you don't want twins, you can have an acropora, yeah?
I mean, that's what I would vote for.
Obviously.
And obviously
Smooth
obviously the last point and the most important one is empowering people to do these things in their own communities. So they're hoping by 2031 they'll have another 500 people and they'll be planting over 1.2 million corals back onto coral reefs a year. So it was just nice to get some good news.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the TED Talk actually starts off with the fact that they're talking about 90% of coral reefs in the world are going to be completely and utterly annihilated by 2050 and blah, blah, blah. But they then at least had something else to say with how they're going to then try and help them, which I thought was nice. Then obviously I found a cheeky little headline this week. This I always struggle to talk because I find it so interesting reading it myself. So, a notorious drunkard has been slapped with an ASBO banning her from every pub in Hull after she was caught shitting in the urinals. Patricia Armitage, 54, became impatient waiting for a vacant cubicle in the ladies at the Turkey Tavern on the outskirts of Humberside City. So, jobless mum of 6, Armitage marched into the gents and, finding the sole cubicle engaged, yanked down her tracky bottoms.
Oh, God, they were Adidas poppers. You just know it.
Beware.
Wait. You guys have urinal in ladies' room?
No.
Is that a UK thing?
Oh my goodness! And that was Reefing News.
Reefing news! Reefing now! Motherfucking reefing news with Ronald McDonald. It's reefing news, but mostly bullshit with Ronald McDonald. Strap up, it's time for reefing news. Watch your ego, it might get a bruise. Get ready for reefing news. Tuck your bullets into your shoes. It's reefing news, but mostly bullshit. Just some nonsense from a fucking twig. Reefing news with Ronald motherfucking McDonald.
Right, Ron, the last sentence that came out of Dong's mouth has to be a new chat show buzzing phrase or whatever. You've got to save that and use that.
What was it? Sorry.
You have urinals in women's bathrooms or something.
Oh yes.
Wow.
So, we have some
Explains a lot, Dom.
Reefers Network news tonight. I mean, if I had a drum roll, I would actually. I've got a rim shot. Rim shot. Anyway, Tom has finally launched the Reefers Network merch shop.
Yeah, only took me all week to finally drop it. Yeah.
I think since the start of the year, to be honest.
Well,
Tom.
to be fair, it has been a work in progress.
Yeah, so please, everybody, make a note of that. Get on there and get yourself some Reefers Network merch. Now, it looks like Jamie's physically actually trying it right now. Is he?
Well, there is a banner in there as well in there if you can see it, because I've done it in a way that it's
Cool.
non-profit. So you've got 2 weeks from today with a further 25% off. There's been a lot of people that have asking for merch. Obviously, I gave quite a lot away in the early days. Appreciate the support and the love from all of you. But obviously, I can't stock all this in the office, different colours, sizes. I know probably some people are saying, why not? But just can't afford to. So if you want to go on there and get something. And feedback is obviously golden. Let us know if there's anything on there that you would like branding that we can.
And
that's
it's not
reefing related.
It's not just the Reefers Network logo, Tom. You've actually done some little bespoke items.
There are some bespoke items in there that you will see. Yes,
exciting.
Yes,
well done, Tom. Finally getting that done.
Thank you. Yes,
I want to see everyone in Benidorm with a Reefers Network bucket hat.
Yes, yes. I'll just give you a quick. Let's have a look. Where are we? Share screen. So you have a As Thou Got Monk On t-shirt, which some people are pleased to see, with clearly the Reefers Network rear logo.
With no YouTube logo in it.
With no YouTube logo on it. But yes, there is various products there that people have asked for. Large print, small print, stickers, hats, t-shirts, women's, kids, teenagers, you name it. Large print, small print, white print, everything that people were asking for. So I've done it as a non-profit, very similar to what Ron set up. So there's no profit. So yeah, you've got $21.49 for a t-shirt plus a further 25% off for the next 2 weeks if you take advantage of that offer. So yeah, I hope you do. It's taken me quite a long time to do this, but any opinions or any feedback on some of the products you want in there, just by all means send us an email.
So is this global, Tom, or is this UK only at the moment?
It's going to be global. You'll be able to ship to US as well. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. All right.
Well done, Thomas.
So eventually, I told you I would.
And before we move on, I want to give a very special shout out to Harry, the spiritual reefer.
Yes.
I got my t-shirt, and it is the best quality t-shirt I've ever bought online. Embroidered. Only one nipple. The back's not embroidered. That would just be insane. But it's got logos on the back there. I've actually got his website just to quickly throw up to show you what he's offering as well. There we go. So it's a small range, but it's quality.
Nice.
I got a sticker and a t-shirt. And if you want to jump on his website, there is, folks. Well, that's the sales pitch over.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll just
so Ron, is that
sorry,
the logo?
Yes.
The logo, is that a two fish together? Or actually is the yin and yang logo from Asian?
Yin and yang. Yin and yang.
Okay. Yeah.
The winner
so
of last...
very zen to reefing.
Shut up,
Go on, Jamie.
The winner of last week's competition, Reefy Reese, your hoodie is all ordered and it's being delivered to me next week. So it will be out to you as soon as I have it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for doing that.
AF merch. So yeah, have a look at that as well.
Another little donation going to the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. So thank you very much for that. Right, Dong, what is next on your list of topics?
Okay, so we talk about trace element dosing. So I just want to give you a little bit update about this little bottle.
Yep.
Okay, so the biggest difference I can see is actually from LPS. Remember, I have the magical tap water.
Yes.
My SPS doesn't budge, doesn't change anything, but my LPS does show quite a bit of difference. So apparently, my theory is that the LPS, because they have a lot more fresh, they're more puffy, and they probably require a little bit more trace element. That's just my take of it. And my SPS, I don't see much difference. Of course, then my magic tap water already have iron and manganese in there. So on the LPS side, I do see pretty significant difference, especially on Duncan. So I have a big quantity of Duncan. They it doesn't open as big as I wish them to. But ever since I'm doing this, the Duncan is fluffy and big. And Lobo opened up bigger. And the biggest difference, I'm looking at it, is my big red Garni. And now actually come from
Massive one.
pink.
The
Yeah, the
huge
big
one.
one. The huge one. Right now is red instead of pink. And you open up even bigger. So I have to move something away from it, so the tentacle won't touch. So I can see that the trace element definitely does something. Just like my magic desk with my magical paper. Yeah, I found the scientific study review paper on what this trace element does. So it does do something. So I'm very positive about that on LPS side. Now we go to the reefing bullshit. Okay, so the thing is that last time you have Chris Mackley come on. Well, Chris Mackley is a real genuine great guy.
Yes.
So he says something about trace element is that to have some in there instead of chasing the number. Okay, so I totally agree with that. So we know that we have gods of hundreds bottle, and using ICP to test each individual trace element and try to dose it up to the natural range. Well, here's the thing. There's several interesting ideas scientifically about if this actually works. First, not all the trace element is useful for coral. Actually, many of them are not. Out of 30 something, maybe only about 15 of them actually work. Why is that? So I have this thing I found from my backyard. It's a piece of rock.
It's a murder weapon, Dong.
Oh yeah, to murder my fish.
No, that's the salt.
No. Oh yeah. Oh, maybe yeah. So okay, you present in my backyard doesn't mean you benefit me. But if you look from a space, you look at, oh, he lives in this habitat, and this in his backyard. That's his trace element. He must need this. So actually, the reality is that most of the stuff floating in the ocean water, dissolved in the ocean water, has nothing to do with the coral or health of or fish, anything. It just happened to be there. It's because it's an ecosystem of the Earth. So there's actually quite a bit of study done on trace element on coral, and according to the literature, at least, every different coral, the requirement of trace element actually is different. So what is the ideal trace element concentration? No such thing. If somebody tell you that is ideal situation concentration for a certain trace element, bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. So even the scientist doesn't know what is ideal concentration, and somebody knows. Wow, Nobel Prize winner! Yay! Or bullshit. So here's the thing: each different species of coral actually has different requirement of trace element. For example, if you feel hungry at night, so Tom probably go down to the kitchen, open the fridge, grab a sandwich.
Why did you pick me?
Oh yeah, then I'm gonna pick Ron next. Ron probably go downstairs, open the fridge, and grab a single malt scotch.
Yes.
And Jamie probably go down there and pull out a whole Christmas turkey. I go down there because I spent all my money on the coral.
On salt.
No, a bottle of water cost 25 cents. Okay, so when you feel hungry and you go down there, each person has different preference to eat something.
Yeah, I get you.
What is your ideal situation of your fridge? Does your fridge need to have that turkey, single malt scotch, or the water, and loaf of bread, and 10 pieces of cheese and that kind of thing in there? No, you don't. So basically, it's impossible to figure out what is the ideal situation of trace element because it does not exist. So just like Chris Mackley said, have some. Just have some because that, yeah, So you open your fridge. Oh yeah, there's water there. Good enough. Does it really matter? Is 10 bottle of water in there? No, it doesn't. I only grab 1 bottle. That's what I need. If you open your fridge, if there are 2 cases of single malt scotch there, are you going to drink them all? No. You pour your own.
No,
And you see the Christmas turkey. Yeah.
On your analogy, Dom, this is exactly what I believe as well. In terms of chemistry.
If I drank 2 bottles of scotch, I'd be doing something completely different to that Christmas turkey.
Let Turkey Boy talk, Tom.
Turkey boy. No, so everyone's like say every coral's got its preference. So like,
Bubble.
I don't know. Gonoporas and manganese is the obvious one, right? All that sort of stuff's shouted about.
Yeah.
But I don't buy into that. I would try and replicate natural seawater as close as possible, because if that's what natural seawater is and that's where these things have evolved, that's what you want to replicate, right? So same for things like alkalinity. You got certain salt brands that will give you a 14 DKH, which is ridiculous. The ocean's 7.5. That's what you pitch for, right? You go for the natural value. Same
no, actually,
trace elements. You go for the natural value because that's what they exist in. So you can't get it wrong.
Actually, I have to disagree with that. So first of all, let's look at a human.
Bullshit.
No, it's not bullshit. But I think this many people think this way. That nature is the best. That people actually the coral evolved from it, that kind of thing. But if you look at human, back 10,000 years ago, that's very natural. And people's lifespan barely lived to 15 to 20 years old. That's the nature. But look at us today. So people get to 80, 90 years old. There's a lot of unnatural things happen. They call hospital. That medicine. Those are seriously unnatural, far away from natural. So basically, what happened is that if throw us back into the 10,000 years ago situation, living in a cave, we're going to suffer. So coral is also living, also the same thing is that the ocean may not really be the best in terms of its growth. Actually, our human evolution, we probably getting more and more comfortable with AC and heater running, driving, sitting in a car instead of climbing the mountain, that kind of thing. So the nature may not really be the best. So another thing is that the nature actually pretty dangerous too. For example, a clownfish, they're swimming in a tank. They live for like 15 to 20 years, live in an artificial environment, eating artificial food. So, but compared to the wild clownfish, most of them die when they just hatch, and then they live for a couple of years, and that's pretty much it. So basically, the thing is that replicating ocean, is it really necessary? That's a big question. Second thing is that we cannot replicate the ocean. So whatever we have in there is far, far away from the ocean.
100%.
So so in that case, that instead of replicating the nature, we're actually creating them a really artificial environment to live in. So when we look at this artificial environment, we shouldn't even look at the ocean as a standard. For example, like the DKH, the ocean, they can have a like 6.5 DKH, but that's an infinite amount of alkalinity at 6.5. In this tank, it's not. Easily, they fluctuate that easily. If you start with 9, if you don't do any dosing, you just drop to 7, drop to 5. Seriously, they can continue dropping. So when we are dealing with a bunch of this captive environment, the ocean itself actually may not really be the best environment. For example, let's talk about us. That rock comes from the yard. So if you live in a yard, arsenic is one of the elements that present everywhere. The thing is that, so people can actually, let's say that back 10,000 years ago, those can be really the environmental toxin can be a killer. We are actually living in very artificial environment away from the natural environment. But we have a better health, we live a lot longer. And that boils down to another thing is about the biodiversity. That's another thing people talking about the mimic the ocean is talk about the biodiversity. But the biodiversity actually may not really benefit the coral at all. Because how we look at the biodiversity, that means that we have, well, normally people say, oh yeah, we have a lot of different kind of bacteria happening in a tank.
Yeah.
But this is a household item that everybody use. Why? Every time we use the Clorox, we reduce the biodiversity around us. We actually get healthier living environment by reducing the biodiversity.
Sorry,
Another thing,
what is that?
that's a Clorox cleaning wipe.
Bleach.
Okay.
Bleach.
Yep.
Yep. So you use to wipe your hand, wipe your
just left that
whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Keyboard.
So, another thing that means that when we are actually as a human being, we are actually striving on the situation of reduced biodiversity. So because that we actually cut out and a lot of this bacteria come from the rock. By the way, I do sanitize this rock before I bring it home. So, so that thing about it, the idea about captive animal. Sorry, are human also in captivity by aliens? So then the biodiversity or not mimicking the natural environment maybe is the way to go. Another example, the cats and dogs living in our house. Okay, so the natural lifespan of a wild cat 3 to 4 year max. Many of them die from infection, die from the nature, the great wild nature, the wildlife there.
Mm-hmm.
So the house cat see the vet, get vaccines, get shots, get pills, and eating artificial food. They live for 15, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah. I think I might have been just reading a few of the comments there. Might have been taken out of context what I meant by that. I said, obviously, going back to what you said about.
Come on, turkey boy.
So there's like all the.
Sorry about that. Apologize.
Gobble.
That's sticking. That's
like
gone.
You don't know what the correct level of selenium, vanadium, bromine, whatever it may be. You don't know what it needs to be. That's what I meant when I say we don't know. If we don't know, then I'll pitch for what the ocean value is. I get that.
Because first of all, there is no such thing as the correct value for them.
No, but that's what I mean. That's what in lack of knowledge, I'd go for the natural value. That's all I meant by that. I didn't mean like we can make it better for things. So like we can grow corals quicker in high KH, high calcium, high magnesium environments. They grow quicker, but are they healthier? Probably not. The science is not conclusive just yet, is it? We don't know certain things, like trace elements and stuff.
When a coral grows quicker,
the ocean values. That's what I was saying.
I get what you're saying is, but when a coral grows quicker, it is healthier.
Right.
So then because that it actually the coral growth actually is a much better indicator for coral health than a polyp extension, color, that kind of thing. Because and then eventually a coral spawning, that's another step about the indicator of coral health. But the question about trace element is that we really don't know. First thing. Second thing, when the trace element, most of them are transitional metals. They are actually highly toxic. So that is another thing is that when it's pretty easy to overdose it. And now the thing is we do not know what is the optimal value, and we can easily overdose it.
Yeah.
And now the question is that how do we know to properly maintain this trace element? But
Well,
ICP testing.
Funny you should say that, because one of the guys in the audience has been quite keen to get your opinion on your, I suppose your list of parameters, Dong, in terms of what are the most important ones. So you don't have to name us 15. There might not be 15 that you think
actually,
are relevant.
let me
okay.
make it much simpler.
Okay.
Much simpler.
Yeah.
Out of these 15, 13 of them probably is not really that critical. So they're all implicating in
Put
certain.
the pen down, Ron.
I can remember two things.
So because the many trace element actually can substitute, can if one is lacking, the other one can do the similar thing. If you only want to care about two trace elements, iron and manganese, that's the only two. As long as you keep it up, it's two. Yeah, most of the time it's fine.
And what's the reason behind that? Just to give us a
that
bit
is
of an
because
explanation.
No, the manganese and iron actually implicated in a many pathways, the many functions. So especially iron is really involved into lots of biological pathway that in there on almost everything. So when I talk to a marine biologist, he or she will say, if you don't dose anything, the most important thing is iron. Iron. That's the most important thing to keep up. I dose screw into my tank for iron. Actually, make sure you dose the right screw.
He was
If you dose a copper screw or bronze screw, and then you're really screwed.
He was hanging a new light above his tank, and one of the little tiny screws on the top of the radian went boom, straight in his tank. Well, in fact, all four of them fell in, and he managed to get 3 out. So there's still one in there.
It may not be such a big deal. Actually, I have plenty of screw or that I cannot get out.
Wow.
Yeah, but I do. Let me show you one thing to figure out the screw.
Oh God,
This could go two ways.
Yeah, because this thing is not on my magical table. So this is a stir bar retriever. You can buy from Amazon. You got a magnet on the side.
Magnet. Yeah, I've got one of them. Yeah.
So you go in there and then run around your tank. Oh, here's a screw. No, I'm just kidding. So any metal we just stuck on this iron like a razor blade, and then this is very useful and very inexpensive. Just get one of these stir bar retriever. I'm a chemist, so that when I was in school and doing chemistry, this is very important. You take your stir bar out of the bottle. So this highly recommended. Can be found on Amazon, anything. So this will take care of your screws.
It can also be used in Halloween as a magic wand.
Harry Potter style.
Correct.
And they say, "Oh, Pikachu!" Oh, sorry, that's the wrong thing. Okay, so that take care of the retrieving the screw from your tank. So yeah, iron and manganese actually the probably the most important tool that when you're so tired, sick and tired, and you just make sure those two be satisfied. Actually, there is a really inexpensive way to dose iron. So you got those iron supplement pill they call Fergon or something like that. So get one of those pill, crush it up, and toss it. One pill go into like a 16-ounce water bottle. Shake it up until it dissolve, and then you will get a very light green solution there. You just drop some in your tank, and that's it. Ultra inexpensive, very easy, and also that you really don't need to worry too much about how much you dose. Because first of all, iron that they live pretty short in reef tank. They get oxidized, they get precipitate, so it's pretty difficult to overdose your iron. Well, of course you can do it, but yeah, if you drop the whole bottle in there. So using the Fergon pill, crush it up and dissolve in drinking water, and then you probably can. What I do is I dose 1 ounce in 100 gallon. That's 400 liter of tank volume whenever I feel like it. That means that either is a once every 2 days or once every 3 days, that kind of thing. If you forget it, no big deal.
So consumes it? What consumes iron? Where does it go?
Everything, almost every living organism that that
Algae.
yeah, algae, bacterial, corals. Yeah, they all because it's very important for photosynthesis. So the photosynthesis indicator is the iron, manganese, and zinc. That's the three things. But those in zinc, I don't know. Because they when you have sufficient amount of iron, I don't really think that you need to go there deliberately dosing some zinc there. But if you have some zinc there, it's pretty safe chemical to dose. Zinc are not that toxic. How do you feel about copper? Okay, copper. Copper is important thing. Copper is absolutely required by all the marine invertebrate because they complex to their blood and just like iron to humans' blood. So it's an essential element, and your salt mix has sufficient amount of copper in it. That's another important thing to do your water change because that when you do your water change and then you make sure that you have sufficient amount of copper in there, like 10% a week, that kind of thing. So should I actually dose copper in my tank? That is really, really dangerous thing. So I would prefer to go a safer way, which is doing water change. And instead of actually dosing copper. Another reason for that is that, first of all, how do you measure the copper in your tank? Hand copper test kit? No, it's not sensitive enough. And also it gives you false positive sometimes. ICP, forget about it. It's really not that accurate for the copper testing. And that is another reason that water change is such an important thing. So, and also copper can only can do its function with a very low concentration. So I don't think that you will end up with a copper deficiency, honestly, if you keep up your water change like 10% a week. Dosing copper, very, very dangerous way to do it.
Yeah.
Especially you have no measurement. And another thing is that copper for example, why I said that the ICP is not really good for copper, because the turnaround time. For example, if like Chris Magley, he has ICP lab, drivable distance. He scoop up his water, drive over there, get a test. Perfectly fine. Yeah, you might get your what's that? Please send his cat to your house. Oh wow! Unfortunately, my cat only used a litter box, so your shoe is probably not going to work. So,
but it's a threat, Dong. It's a threat to people like and subscribe.
Okay, back to the
Brilliant.
copper thing. So, because the copper has a high affinity to plastic, if you bottle up your ICP sample in your plastic vial, send it out to traveling for a week or something like that, many of the copper just adheres to the plastic. And during the depends on how the ICP machine is configured. The copper can also stick to the tubing, the plastic tubing on your ICP. So basically, for the consumer grade ICP testing, you don't even look at copper because that number absolutely bogus.
I've found copper levels in food as well, Dong.
Huh?
I've found copper levels from frozen food.
Yes. There's what kind of test do you do? ICP?
Yeah.
That means that you have tons of copper in your frozen food. Yeah. So that
I moved away from it. I moved away from it about 6 months ago, but I was having really high levels of copper, as in concerning levels of copper, and I wondered where it was coming from. And I changed the food to the one that Rob uses, unless he's changed it, the ocean plankton, the BCUK one, and it gradually, with some water changes, it went back to a normal, acceptable range. But the point I'm making is that sometimes you're dosing it and you don't know you're dosing it, is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly, yeah. Because that for frozen food, they can whatever that living animal can accumulate copper in their body. That's what it is. That's one thing. But second thing, the more important is how those frozen food was raised. What kind of frozen food are they? Are they shrimps, or they are brine shrimp, or they are mice? So if they are artificially like raised in a farm for those frozen food, they do use copper to suppress parasite and disease. So that means that the copper actually coming from the method they raise this little animal and freeze it, and that's why they loaded with copper. But copper, there's another thing is that it's mercury. So some of the commercial frozen food has a huge amount of mercury in them.
Wow.
That is that is because they're using the fish gut.
Okay.
Yeah. Even the tuna, regular tuna, you should probably only eat once a week because of the copper level. Well, sorry, the mercury level in tuna fish. Think about their gut, their internal organ. Those are highly concentrated with mercury. So that is another thing. I really don't want to feed my fish and coral with any commercial frozen food. I make my own. That's a very important thing. So that way I know that I'm feeding them the human grade and USDA approved.
Exactly what Rob says there. Like animals at the top of the food chain will have a higher contaminant content because it cycles up, right?
Yeah.
So your little shrimps might eat a little bit, but then the bass might eat 100 shrimp, and then the tuna might eat 100.
Basically
bass.
accumulate. Yeah.
Through. So that makes sense. Yeah.
That's why Tom's get so much copper. It's all the free Bentos.
So the for matter of fact, if you actually find frozen food has copper in it, I will totally avoid that. I will not even buy a single piece of that frozen food because this is even if you can test copper level in those frozen food, try to imagine that what you have been dosing in your tank. But there's another caveat though, is that when an element actually only floating in the water doesn't mean that it actually can affect the coral or fish. That's another thing about a trace element dosing. Okay. Because that is a banana. It's good for your calcium source or also potassium source, right?
Yeah.
Potassium. So now I'm holding this banana. It's in my living environment, just like if I'm a coral and the air is the water. I'm holding my this. Yeah, here. Am I getting any benefit for potassium?
No.
No. So until I do this.
Oh, live. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to.
How far down can you get that? Like.
No.
So you have to be able to get in your body, as well as this trace element need to get in the coral to be biological function, have a biological function. But now here's the thing: most of the trace element, actually all of besides the fluoride, bromide, that kind of thing, many of the trace element are metals. And in our seawater, there has one characteristic is high pH. When this metal hit the water column, they all precipitate out. By what? Because, for example, like iron can be like a carbonate form, hydroxide form, before they can do anything. When you drip this thing into your tank, the seawater first take out majority of them already. Yeah. So how effective is dosing trace element directly into the water column? The benefit.
Would you think that the overall health of the coral to start with would be more of a focus, so it can then it's more likely to absorb some of these trace elements if it's generally healthy and it's in a better state?
Actually not.
Okay. The opposite?
No, not really. Because there's so many pathways for coral to take in trace element. So some of them have active transporter. That means that on the skin, they have little machinery to recognize the certain element and grab it and transport them inside. Some of them by diffusion, some of them by capturing prey. For example, like the bacteria already incorporate the trace element, and then the coral eat the bacteria, just like the banana. Oh, my banana. So, that's how you get into the body. So that also different coral has different mechanism to do that, and they have the selectivity in there too. So that means that it all boils down to what Christmas Magley said is correct, is to have some available, but not chasing certain number there, because those number doesn't mean much.
Can I just ask you, because Rob's touching on it here about bacteria. So what are your theories about or beliefs on the Alan Vo method, which I played around with about 6 months
Alan
ago?
Vo method?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the growing your bacteria?
Yeah. So you put a fresh salt mix in, so the bacteria obviously absorbs those trace elements, like you're saying. You use an enzyme as a carrier to feed you, to carry it to your corals, and it's in a way that your corals will absorb those trace elements directly.
Theoretically, that's a good idea. Theoretically.
Okay.
But in practice, is that the kind of bacterial, marine-based bacterial versus freshwater or whatever, non-marine-based bacterial, they are not overlapping much. Try to imagine this is a big circle of the marine bacterial, and that is the land-based bacterial. The overlapping is so little.
Yeah, well,
So
I did it, and I think I actually poisoned some of my acropora from doing it.
Oh yeah, actually, not only poisoning, but here's the thing: growing bacteria at home is a taboo. It's absolutely nobody should do it.
Depends on what part of your body.
And how often you shower.
No, actually, the problem about that is that when you grow a bacterial outside of marine environment, most likely this bacterial doesn't do jack for whatever inside the marine environment. That's first thing.
Right.
Second, no matter how you're gut loading them, they just die and decompose and become nitrate phosphate byproduct, urea, that kind of thing. So, third is that many of you're basically just like throwing garbage in your house, that kind of thing, to make it stinky, polluting your water. That's what it is. And even more important thing is that you have no control what you're growing, and you're outside your fridge.
You can't test for it either. That's the danger. You don't know. You can't see.
Not only you cannot test for it, and it can be growing bacterial. If you want certain bacterial or certain groups of bacterial, it has to be done in a controlled environment. That environment cannot be duplicated at home. So basically, the bacteria surrounding us, they're all opportunists. They see the opportunity to grab some food, they multiply. What happened to MRSA? And many of these pathogenic bacteria, they just grow. And if you have anybody in your household has an immune compromise, and you're damaging their house, you're damaging your own house. So basically, if you're growing bacteria, should leave to scientists to do it in a laboratory.
Yeah,
I
had a massive feeding response, which was great, but I think that was simply due to the nutrient level I was putting in the tank with some of the foods I was using. But about a month later, I spoke to Ron, and there was some really strange things happening with my acropora, and they weren't pest related, and the ICPs were fine, the water was fine, and it's taken 6 months, Ron, do you reckon, since we had that conversation?
Maybe 4 months.
4 months, and I thought it might have been pollen related, but I actually think it was because I was playing around. I was playing, mad scientist.
I told him like 10 times, see that bacteria stuff you're putting in? And he just kept on going round the question, right? And eventually I went, stop dosing that random shit you're growing in your garden.
So the reason you see massive feeding response is because that many of the rotten food, fresh, they decompose to glutamic acid, asparagus, aspartate, that kind of thing. And then, for example, glutamic acid, basically just MSG you can get from the takeout food, the Chinese takeout food, MSG. So on the coral surface, there's a glutamic acid receptor. That's how they sense food. When they sense like the rotten food have the decomposed glutamic acid, and they just extend their feeding response. They open up the polyp to feed. So you can do exactly the same thing by grabbing a handful of the MSG and tossing in your tank, and you will see the feeding response.
not a chicken chow mein, no.
Oh, actually, I think Kung Pao chicken is much better.
Turkey Kung Pao?
Huh?
I think it's a good time to say, right? Obviously, we're talking
Uh-huh.
about trace elements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How to visualize how little of these things exist. So,
Mhm.
if you imagine your local swimming pool and empty it in your head and put in 1 million ping pong balls, right? So, this swimming pool's got 1 million ping pong balls, and think of just say phosphate. 0.5 ppm of phosphate is high, right? Imagine that swimming pool full of 1 million ping pong balls, and you've cut one red one in half and thrown it in. That's what we're talking about as a high result. Like we're talking tiny, tiny, tiny numbers, like really small quantities of
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
When we talk about trace elements, we are talking that small level of stuff. Even micrograms, like literally is like 1,000th of a 1,000th of a gram.
Mhm.
So it's hard to quantify in your head. It's like, can you count to 5 billion? Never. Can you count down to 0.2 micrograms? Never. It's such a small amount we're talking about, but it's crucial.
Yeah. Well, I think Gazza's getting rather frustrated. If he carries on getting frustrated, he's going to turn his MP40s up to 100%. I've heard.
Ooh,
So
that'll be
I hope
good.
that'll be really good. So Gazza's also asking what other parameters, Dong, other than trace elements, other than iron and manganese, would you say are equally important, or what are you? If you had a shopping list and you've said iron and manganese, who's third, fourth, fifth? Can you give us a few more on there, maybe, for
Okay.
people watching?
Yeah. This is not really considered trace element because at 1.1 to 2 ppm is pretty high. It's fluoride.
Okay.
Especially fluoride. Fluoride is an interesting thing. If you ask AI to tell you what fluoride does, the AI cannot find much except the people who want to sell you the fluoride solution. So and there is this is actually mostly coming from just observation instead of actually have any study to backing it up. Well, actually scientific study is the opposite result of fluoride. So all the literature I can find about fluoride, they're all damaging the coral. There's no benefit whatsoever for fluoride. But there's countless of examples in this hobby showing that fluoride actually is important. But that is another situation is that the science, the hobby is more advanced in terms of understanding the coral need than what scientists does. This happens all the time. So why I say fluoride is important because that's from countless of practical examples.
You mean people having a marine tank and they can see the benefit, right? Okay.
Yeah, you can see the difference there.
Yeah.
And so about 1 ppm of fluoride actually is pretty beneficial. So I think fluoride is the next thing after the iron and manganese.
Can I just say though that the fluoride, from what I do know, if you've got to dose it very slowly, haven't you? Because
what do you mean by slow?
Because if you put too much in, it can have it can cause you problems in one go.
Yes. Yeah, you want to shoot low instead of shoot high. Yeah. So because of fluoride, there's an easy way to do it. You don't need a test. You just look at your dosing solutions concentration, do a calculation.
Right.
Yeah. Because the ICP is impossible for accurate fluoride. For matter of fact, ICP is not suitable for fluoride. So if ICP,
how would you? So if you're a hobbyist now watching this, which most people are, how would you advise people to gauge it and measure it and use it and dose it?
The fluoride, for example, that like Fauna Marine has a fluoride test, but even on their website they said very clearly, that is not from ICP, it's from a different machine. So for example, that if you really want to know what your fluoride level, I will just go do a Fauna Marine test because they're very open about it. Yeah, the fluoride is obtained from a different method. That is scientifically valid. So if you really want to do that, that's fine. If you don't want to run an ICP test, just do by calculation. Always shoot low. And also fluoride can be depleted quite rapidly for some reason. So apparently some bacteria or something will keep consuming it. So for example, if you want to keep 1 ppm of fluoride, so to be safe, you dosed the tank up to 1 ppm every 2 to 3 days. For example, you
Wow.
dose,
Okay.
yeah. So you dose it to 1 ppm by calculation, and you do your next dose maybe like 2 or 3 days later on. Because normally after 2 to 3 days, your fluoride probably go back to zero again.
The trouble with our hobby is that everyone's tank is different.
Different.
So the theoretical value doesn't mean jack shit really to most of us, because
Yeah.
the theoretical value I need to dose 0.6 mil into my tank means nothing when I'm advising you or you're advising me or whatever, because everyone's system consumes it can never be accurate. It can never be accurate at all.
So that's why back to the idea about just have some.
Just have
Instead
some.
of just have some. That's good enough.
So in all fairness, then, sorry. So treating fluoride, from what you're saying, or dosing fluoride, would you advise people to treat it very similar to how they would, as I do, with your old iodine, your Lugol's? Maybe every
you
other
can do
day,
that.
a little bit.
For matter of fact, that all the fluoride solution, most of them on the label, they come with the instruction that tell you if you don't use ICP, whatever measurement, what is your recommended dose.
Yeah.
And follow that dose, but cut it in half to be safe.
Okay.
You don't need a lot of fluoride, but you just need some in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. Like I do with the iodine. I don't do it every day. I do it kind of every other day. Or
That's
maybe...
perfectly fine.
So what I'm saying is, could people treat fluoride dosing manually rather than on a doser, similar to how they would probably do with iodine?
For matter of fact, I think that people should dose fluoride not using a automatic machine, not using a doser, just dose manually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's no reason to put them on a doser, because the amount you dose is pretty small.
Yeah.
Also, that you do not need to be continuously dosing. Seriously, that a lot of things does not even require continuous dosing at all.
Yeah.
When people have dosing pump, they love the dosing pump too much and try to dose everything through the dosing pump. But so, because they're using dosing pump always under the assumption that you want things to be slow, steady, and always available. Actually, in reality, it may not be like that. So everybody heard about the bolus method, right? Some from Fauna Marine. The bolus method, you just chock full of stuff in the morning.
Did you say bolus or bullshit method?
Yeah,
Sorry,
no, bolus method, sir.
Sorry.
Well, the bolus method is not a bullshit method. It's not. It's the method has been using by old school reefer for the past 2 decades.
Yeah. Who didn't have a dosing pump?
Yeah, who didn't have dosing pump back then? We just drop
Pour it in.
some.
Yeah.
Yeah. For matter of fact, if you look at the ESV, the BRNX label, it tells you to drop in the whole day's worth of alkalinity and calcium before the light is out.
A little bit of what you fancy does you good, right?
Huh?
A little bit of what you fancy does you good. That's what we'd say.
Yeah. So it's basically our reef tank has a lot of tolerance there. It really doesn't need to be like that steadily stable. And even the ocean is not really that stable. Actually, I just saw a comment about my Arby's pump. What's that? Arby's dosing pump. Get one. They sell dosing pump? I don't know that. Oh my goodness. Must be a $20,000 dosing pump. Can accurate to 0.00000000001 mil.
Dong, I feel like I need to make an apology for you. Like 2 weeks ago, I saw you on a live stream with Andrew Sadler, fucking Mike Paletta, Sanjay Joshi. What have you done wrong in the last 2 weeks to end up here?
No. What's he done right to eventually be allowed back on here away from those morons? Is that what you meant to say, Jamie?
Yes. Sorry, Ron. Yeah.
Correct.
Come on, turkey boy.
Well, I just want to say about all of this. I am growing hundreds of corals, mixing my own alkalinity, my own calcium, my own magnesium, and dosing trace A and K from Tropic Amaran. That is it. I don't top up anything else. I don't send away ICPs unless something's going really, really pear-shaped, or if I'm going through a period of time where everything's looking absolutely phenomenal. I think that's important too.
Yeah.
The marketing from these companies to go out and buy 500 of these tiny little bottles and you're dripping this, you're almost making yourself feel better by doing it, not actually using your tank creatures to base why you're doing it. Save your money, people. That's all I'm going to say. Save your money.
The best advice I got, last thing I said, look, best advice I got was from Jose at Reefers Elements, and not affiliated at all, but the best advice he gave me was the best time to do an ICP is when your tank looks fucking mustard.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
And then that is your baseline.
Yes, yeah, if you want to do it. But even you do it, you may not get a baseline at all. So the thing is that I always wondering about that, how they can do it so cheap and give you a reasonable value.
Because they piss in the bottle. It's ammonium dosing.
So the thing is that how should I trust this result? Well, as a scientist, I really have a very low confidence of hobby grade ICP testing. Extremely low confidence.
We're late in the day and we're opening up a wormhole. How do you trust anything, like, isn't it? Some things you just have to take a punt on and stick to it. If it works for you, it works for you. Stick to it. Don't try.
That is because that if you know how a machine works and how a testing procedure works, you just cannot imagine to be able to get that inexpensive to get an accurate result. So that is
If you want to spend £1,000, you probably get the right result. But
how do you pick which one, which data?
But I'd also say that you need to be looking at your corals more often, for longer, so you can see any variations or different. And apart from when something's pissed off and it strips, or you might get STN or whatever. But I've taught myself literally through ICPs with trace elements when I know that certain trace elements are low, because the corals don't seem to look as don't seem to have the same sort of shine as they did, especially with cobalt, nickel, and zinc, and chromium. Some of those elements, when I've had those a little bit lower, the corals just don't seem to look as sprightly. Maybe Dong's going to disagree with what I'm saying, but I've just
an analyzer.
When you look at your tank more often, you tend to just gauge. You can gauge it. Is all I'm saying. Because I've stopped doing I ain't done a water change in, I think, 6 months, nearly a year now, on my SPS tank downstairs, and I'm literally, for the simple fact that I was doing, 10-20% every other week or once a month, and I'm trying to keep not parameters on numbers, but within ranges. Yeah. And again, corals are going to decide based on various stress events, feeding responses, times a year, whatever, how much of something they're going to absorb and use if it's there. I just want to make sure it's there on the shelf.
So when you see the coral become less vibrant, and then is it possible, even though your ICP is showing you still have those elements in your water, but in reality, those elements actually get depleted?
Say that again.
You have none. Oh, so instead of for example, when you see the coral less vibrant, and you get your ICP test, it shows that those certain element is low.
Yep.
So is that possible? Those certain element actually is depleted. It's all gone.
I think this is where you get into the realms of.
I don't mean lack of detection. Sorry, Jamie. I mean just lower, not in the.
Yeah.
So now here's the question: is that range the ICP can give you, the data on the paper, they may not be reliable at all. When you see the range, the lower number, it could very well be totally depleted, because that machine plus the method may not be able to tell you that precisely.
Yeah.
If you have a low level or have none. The important thing is that all these absorption peaks of this element, they're very close to each other.
So what I've come to realize from tonight's conversation is everything is bullshit then. Yeah. Basically.
For ICP testing? My point of view is that instead of spending money on ICP testing, I spend the money on doing water change. I buy salts.
Yeah.
And if I'm too busy, I spend money to ask somebody else to change my water.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so
Instead of paying for a test that is so wanky.
but
Wanky or ranky? Did he say wanky?
Whatever, that
Wanky.
so banana.
But,
So
but
the thing is
also,
that
one ICP can be bullshit. It's trend analysis. So if you're doing an ICP every month,
Yeah.
you monitor a trend, and then you pick up. That's where it becomes quite valuable. Even if the results are bullshit, you can trend the bullshit. You know what I mean?
well, the problem is that when you see the trend, is that because of how the sample was prepped
Well, you've just took the words out
and
of my
how
mouth because
the
that's
machine
what
was calibrated?
that's what concerned me about the chat me and Drippy had with Esan and at Triton is about the methodology about how the ICP is set up and it's administered to the ICP. And it's like, I suppose, silly analogy, I suppose, but any chef in a kitchen is going to bake something however many ways differently, aren't they? You know, the ingredients might be similar, but they might do it in a different way. And I just think that's where it can be a little bit dangerous, perhaps.
Let me give you one example because Tom, you said chromium, right?
Yeah.
So you see a chromium level drop,
Here we go.
right? What exactly chromium does is a freaking poison.
Okay.
It does no good to coral at all. Absolutely at all. It's an environmental poison. Then when you see that thing was dropping, why the nobody actually benefit or actively consuming it? It could very well be maybe just a testing method, maybe just technician's mode, or so swinging day and night, or the whatever the machine is drifting. So there's no reason you need to dose chromium, and there's no reason that this coral actually need chromium, and there's no reason that that thing will get consumed. But now we go to the consumption part. When you just dose an element, you slowly precipitate out of the water column.
Yeah.
That may be what you see.
It's not uptake, it's precipitation.
It's a precipitation.
Yeah.
Because there's really no reason you need to dose chromium. For God's sake, why don't you eat some what do you call
Mercury.
it? Mercury, yeah. Seriously. So for example, that if I got kidnapped by an alien, I got put into the cage, they keep dosing me mercury. Yeah, that's a trace element because we found that in your yard. So that is the thing, is that when you see an element, assuming your ICP be able to tell the change of this element, the elements decrease in concentration does not mean it got consumed. You maybe get consumed, or you just simply precipitate out of the water column slowly. Then, so you dose, your level goes up, and then you precipitate slowly, you dose again. So basically, it's like, you freaking coral, you better die. Now I give you more chromium. You're still alive? I give you another shot of chromium. Yeah, so this kind of thing is become really, really dangerous. And so that is what I'm saying is that there's really no reason to dose all these elements unless you know there's enough scientific evidence to back it up, saying that your coral actually need it. And by the end of the day, trace element dosing always the icing on the cake.
Yeah,
is
not your main driving force.
I think
that's a hobby.
What, 73 people here right now? Because none of us fucking know. We're just trying to get that perfection, but do we need it?
There's no perfection.
None of us know.
Yeah, there's no such thing as perfection. For matter of fact, we are putting so many different coral, different type of animal in a tank. In a while, they probably never see each other. They live in a different area, different water quality, different water parameter, and we throw them all in a glass box and try to satisfy all of them their need. No, there's no such thing. It's absolutely impossible to get any optimal level out of this kind of mixture. First, we have to toss this optimal, the perfect solution out of the window.
A really good point in the comments about about the biome. What if what if Uranema loves cobalt and we keep chucking cobalt in, and the only thing consuming it is Uranema? Like, you know what I mean? Who knows what's using it?
That is one important thing to think about. When we're feeding this trace element, the first priority the major consumers of trace element actually are bacterials. Yeah, the bacterial. That's that's the first line of. So it basically, when we're dosing this trace element, we're actually feeding bacterials. That's the first thing before the coral get its share. The bacteria get it first. So now here's the thing: is that some trace element, definitely there are different trace element will stimulate different, will benefit some bacteria, certain bacteria. This is a black box we don't know yet. So we're basically playing with fire by dosing trace element besides the one we know that actually benefit coral. So that is a very important thing to think about stimulating bacteria. Also can stimulate your pathogenic bacteria.
Yeah,
that's very, very true. So, but that also will bring down to the important thing is that water change is the key, because all the salt mix has certain critical trace element that is known to benefit coral or invertebrate in a reef tank. Those are all the salt manufacturer. This actually basic is all public domain. They all know all these several, maybe like from 5 to 10 different type of trace element that is known to benefit coral. So they all have in there.
Yeah.
Without the rest of bullshit. So that is important thing to change the water. That's a very important thing.
But where do you stand with fluoride though? Because a minute ago we were talking about dosing fluoride, and now we're talking about doing water changes. So still do water changes.
Yeah,
but
still do
also
water
manually
change. Still dose
but also
your fluoride.
manually dose fluoride.
Yeah, both. Do both.
And manganese and iron.
And manganese and iron. So because my magical tap water has fluoride in it, every time I do a water change, I'm dosing fluoride. So especially when you do daily automatic water change, I think it's a really good thing. Yeah. So in that case,
now I know why Ron loves you, because you just agreed with everything he's done.
We're on exactly the same
whatever.
But here's the important thing though. If you have an automatic water change system, dose your fluoride into your reservoir instead of into your main tank.
And then it's just getting trickled in with every little drop.
Yeah, exactly.
So Ron, Dong, sorry, what do you think about Kalkwasser?
Oh, Kalkwasser. Oh my goodness.
Fucking hell, it's 10:15. Behave yourself, Tom. I saw your face there. So I am very conscious of the time, and we can rearrange.
Part deux.
Yes. Let's rearrange quality over quantity, Dong, as I'm sure you know.
So are we want to talk about Kalkwasser?
I mean, let's Kalkwasser, and then we'll wrap it up. No more tangents.
Right. yeah. Kalkwasser, it works. One thing, it works. But it may not work for some. It highly depends on your setup. For example, Chris Mackley is very successful in using Kalkwasser. Because there are two critical elements that he's doing. One, he has frac tanks. Frac system, which means that system has a huge amount of water surface area. So CO2 exchange can happen rapidly. So we need to go back down to how the Kalkwasser works. Kalkwasser basically is calcium hydroxide. So the calcium part is understandable with those calcium. Hydroxide part is basically raise the pH of the seawater. So what happens is that when the pH goes up, and then you attract more CO2 getting inside the water. Because the CO2 in the water, we react with the hydroxide, become alkalinity, become bicarbonate. Yeah. So there is an equilibrium of the CO2 in the air and the CO2 in the water. So when the CO2 concentration drops in the water, by reacting to Kalkwasser and more CO2 entering from the atmosphere into the water to reach the equilibrium. That means that, think about this way, if you continue to dose Kalkwasser, it's continue to drawing CO2 from the air into your tank water and create alkalinity. That's how Kalkwasser works. So if you have a large water surface area, That means that your CO2 exchange from the air to the water is very effective, efficient. That means that you won't see a rapid rise of your pH of your tank. And you will see constant CO2 entering the water to neutralize the cutwater, which give you alkalinity. Cutwater works provided you have a large surface area with frac tank. That's how Chris Magley's cutwater works. And it does not work on people with tall and narrow tank. When they dose cutwater, they can see the pH shoot up because there's not enough of surface area for the CO2 to entering from the atmosphere into the water. So your hydroxide, you keep driving your pH up. And that can potentially crash your tank. That's how, when your cutwater works, you need a large surface area. Frac tank, we call it frac tank. Second thing, Chris Magley has an open air system. That means that his coral farm basically open air. That means that the carbon dioxide is always the same concentration. Or we should say always plentiful. So the thing is that if you have a bunch of friends come over to drink beer, of course the carbon dioxide increase. That's what we see. But if you have nobody in your room, and then your carbon dioxide, if you have a tank with a lot of cutwater, the carbon dioxide actually get depleted. We only have 400 ppm of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Very little, actually. So that means that if you don't have an open air system, you do not have a huge amount of surface area, your cutwater may not work for you. So that is the key point about cutwater. So if you be able to keep the cutwater looking at the alkalinity, not the pH, if your cutwater can satisfy your alkalinity consumption, keep using it. It's inexpensive, it's effective, it's easy. Just one dosing. Yeah, it's great. You can use it. But if you have a heavily loaded SPS tank and you're not in an open air environment and you don't have a huge amount of surface area, those two parts. That is a much better way than cutwater to satisfy your alkalinity need for your coral.
It doesn't take much CO2 either. Seeing as Rob just put his comments there. Rob came around to see me 2 weeks ago. He was sat in my fish room, breathing out his CO2 everywhere. And my pH went from the stable 8.2 to 8.3 down to 7.9. I had to kick him out.
We told him to stop breathing.
I had to kick him out.
It wasn't his breathing. Rob said to me before he went round to yours, he was going to strap 2 CO2 canisters, one to each leg, and as soon as he walked in your room, just
let him off.
Watch it strip.
So,
Watch it strip.
If you have a lot of visitors, you're always in a room, and then you can get a CO2 monitor. They're very inexpensive, and if your CO2 level always high, cutwater actually may work for you.
This
provided you have
a brilliant excuse for me to tell Bernadette's family to fuck off. Just to let you know, everybody, I'm having pH problems. The birthday party's off. You're going to crash my system. Stay at home. We'll
Set
do
your
it
8
via
takes
Zoom.
along.
Yes, we'll do it via Zoom. Right.
But
Listen,
by the way,
here we go.
even if your pH drop below 8, so what? Doesn't matter, because that as long as wow, a mess and those. So as long as that your alkalinity is in range, what the alkalinity does, its job is to keep the pH in a range. So as long as your alkalinity, like between 7 to 11, that kind of range, I will never even look at the pH at all if you are not actively dosing hydroxide in your tank. So so for new hobbyists, first thing first, when you don't have a lot of coral, do the cutwater first. Easy, simple, inexpensive. And then you end up with a lot of coral, then your cutwater cannot satisfy the consumption. Then go to 2 parts. And when you get a 500, 600 gallon tank, when your hobby gets really crazy, before your wife kick you out of the house, get a calcium reactor. That's the step. Yeah.
Okay, so let's put a pin in this and we'll visit this next time you come back on, Dong. So
Sure, absolutely. There are a lot of things. You see the oh, by the way, my magical table, I have a lot of things.
we
You
didn't
want to
get
see?
to the
Oh,
Get the potato.
potato next time.
You have to get.
yeah.
To
I haven't
Well-
even talked about the potato yet.
Dong, you can have your own game next time you come on. We talked about it twice now. There will be a prize.
So
There'll be
before
a
we wrap
Dong
it
game.
up, Tom, do you have a live stream on Sunday?
Yes, we do. Myself, Dripster, and Ian will be getting together on Sunday to have a weekly catch-up.
With the three of you?
Yes.
I'm not watching that. It's going to be boring as fuck.
Yes, it
Anyway,
will be.
moving on. I've got Gaz's tank tour on Sunday night on the Reef AF
Nice.
Discord. So that's free for everybody to join. He sent me 48 photos and videos.
Oh,
Tom,
right,
you would
okay.
love it. You would love the organisation I've had to do with this. You know, they just keep coming through, ping, ping, ping. And
I know exactly what it's like because
you get to
Gaz did
48.
it to me.
And he
Yeah.
said to me, "That's your lot." Oh, cool. I'll just get on that now.
Yeah.
So I spent 2 hours building that today. The only other thing I want to say is that apparently Steve, East Coast Reefer, has Darren McGinty on this coming Wednesday.
Oh, I've got to watch that.
Yes.
Oh, good. I can get some shit back then, can't I?
That will be good. I wonder if you'll give him a haircut live on air.
Oh, that'd be good. Or shave his balls, all three of them.
The last thing I wanted to ask you, Dong, was I've got an idea for a T-shirt for Reefy AF. What do you think of this for an idea? Do you like that?
Oh, the hesitation said everything.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you so much, Jamie.
No.
Thank you so much, Dong. And thank you to everybody at home
You're
for tuning in. It's so
Have
good.
a nice weekend, everybody.
Have an amazing weekend. And Tom,
Have a nice
take it
weekend.
easy. We'll see
Cheers,
you on
Dom.
Sunday.
Have
Bye,
a great
everyone.
evening.
Hey everyone, Terrell with HUGE THANKYOU Reefs here, and we are excited to announce that we are coming on to the Reefers Network Friday, June 13th, to talk with our good buddies that we met at Reeferpalooza. So be sure not to miss that, and we will see you there.